Let's start out then. Let's have the bases flush with the ladder. Make sure they're all flush, and then you're going to take your carriages to the back space. Have you gotten to adjust these guys before? Okay, well let me give you so the spiel. Let me just kind of introduce the spiel a little bit. So for somebody who's not been on these before, so these little carriages, and this is the base. These little stoppers here are just sitting here in case somebody's just like sitting around and you just don't want them to like randomly step on them and go flying. So you just take these guys out and we're just going to set them in here. And you'll see with this little metal tab here, you're going to push straight down and that pops out the top. So you've got some band tension just like the reformers have springs. You've got latex bands. So you've got a heavy, which is your gray. The blue is medium and the peach is light. You've got two different sets of them here. This is considered front-loaded. You have the same setup back here. So you just do the same thing here. I'll tell you whether it's back-loaded or front-loaded. Every band suggestion is a suggestion, okay? Everybody's body feels different things, so if you feel like you need to go up a little higher, down a little higher, the more familiar you get with the equipment, the easier it will be to kind of make your adjustments for where you need to be. Now, you are newish to CoreAlign. You've been doing,
I was in your class.
Okay, good times. All right, so good. So you're a professional. Great. So let's start out then. We're going to throw a peach on each end here. And one thing I am always mad about is anytime you're changing the bands, pull it back, do a little band check, make sure there's no holes or fraying on the bands. And then this is a good setup for here. You guys are going to want to make sure when the base is flush with the letter, see how it's scooted out?
I want to show them what frayed looks like.
Oh, do you have one?
Yeah, I've got one. This is just frayed. It's not white. A lot of times you'll see a big white thing, but if you see that, as I pull it out, it gets a little white. But that's a little scarred up, and it's not worth the chance, right? So
safety first here.
Safety first. So every time you put one on, do that. You see any white, see any weirdness. They're designed so it happens at the end, like the attachment mostly, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yes.
I've got to replace this. So that's what you're looking for.
And then as you're getting set up, you'll want to have your long pad on your foot plate. So you've got pads that go on your carriages and then on your foot plate. I know a lot of people do like having their square pads on their carriages. I find they're awfully squishy when you're putting weight on your hands, so it's all personal preference. If you want to start with them, then if they feel a little bit too squishy, you can always work around it. But I'm going to invite you to go with your pads on for the moment, and then if you want to go au naturel, you just toss them to the side. Okay? Now, after all of this stuff, let's go ahead and start out with just a little standing work. So everybody just stand facing walk, two lovely parallel-ish feet. And then find those feet just underneath your sit bones, okay? So you want to think hip width, not going super wide, but just kind of right underneath your pelvis. And I want you to just get tall through everything. So one thing we discuss is kind of the general term is that internal zipper. So you lift the pelvis off of the legs a little bit. That bowl of the pelvic floor just picks you up a little. And let that carry up into your spine. So those multifidi, those eight twizzlers right along your spine, not even superficial here. Literally think deep against your spine. They literally lay in between your segments. Let those guys pick you up. And then as you're getting picked up from the center, you let that abdominal wall gather in. You let all of that basket weave of layers of abdominals just gather in and hold your internal organs. Now keep that liftiness as you let your shoulders slide up like we keep telling you not to. Now keep that lift through your torso as you just glide them down. And I want you to be real easy with the shoulders. One more time here, slide up. And exhale as you slide down. See if you can just maintain that lightness through the rest of the body here. One more for funsies. Slide the shoulders up. And then as you settle them down, reach those arms out to the side. Let the palms face forward here. So we're going to think about how that upper arm bone is turning as well as how the scapula moves. So as we lift the arms, what we tend to think is shoulders back and down, right? That's what we've heard all these years. So let the scapula go wide and let them upwardly rotate a little bit. As the arms come up, let them slide a little bit with you. They don't have to be super aggressive in the upper traps, but I want your scapula to be easy to slide up and down through the back. So turn the upper arm out so the palms face forward. And as you go overhead, let the palms face each other so that encourages that upward rotation. And then just right back down, glidey, and still super tall. Adding on with this one up. And just take a side bend up and over. You can think about it more than actually do it if you prefer. Yes, we're shortening on one side, but the emphasis is lifting from this armpit. Lift right back up to upright, up and over to the opposite side. And as you do so, the weight should stay even across each foot. Inhale right up through the center. Just let the arms drift down. Nod the chin and flex that spine. Just take a nice little standing roll down. And you're not going to be too picky about it at first. We're not seeing how far down we can get. I want you to evenly flex the spine. Let the arms hang. Stay down there just for a second if you can there. Let the arms hang, but keep your shoulders kind of plugged into your back. Let your head get heavy. And then take a big inhale and direct it into the back and the sides of the ribs here. And I'm going to give you a little tug on your rib cage here. Pull those ribs up and away. So it's like that internal zipper is still holding you up here instead of just hanging on your pelvis. Now soften your knees, gather that butt thigh, and curl back up 2 inches taller than when you walked in the room. From the bottom to the middle to the top, you got 24 vertebrae there. To let every last one of them get a little love. One more time, glide your shoulders up and over to one side. Grow even taller up in the center, up and over to the opposite. Even taller up in the center, and then again, let the arms drift down, nod to the chin, peel that spine forward, up, out, and over to come down. Down will happen. Roll your pelvis over your femurs. Thank you for keeping those knees unlocked, friends. Yes, take a big inhale at the bottom, and come on up to upright. Space between every little vertebra. Now, once you come all the way back up, arms floating, just take a nice big exhale. And then keep that internal zipper. One more thing standing here. I want you to just keep that neutral spine as you bend the knees here. And as we bend, we keep the sit bones aimed straight down rather than tucking or leaning into a little squat. You literally are just creasing your ankles, knees, and hips. Now straight legs, keep the weight mostly in the ball of your foot as you raise up to a little easy releve. You're just going right to the balls of the feet. And as you're there, you should be able to wiggle all 10 toes here. Lifting more from the, not just from the calves, but more from that butt thigh, right where the hamstrings and the glutes meet. Now keep the crown of the head on the ceiling as you lower instead of drop. And we're just going to alternate our time or two. Knees bend. Nice little crease at the ankles, straight legs without locking. And then butt thigh, lift your heels so your calves have a little help. Give me a kitten heel, not a stiletto. Yes. And then lower the heels without dropping. Bend the knees one more time here. And then we're going to add on to this one, straight legs. Let's lift the heels again and take a little pause. Halfway of what your ankle wants to do here. Wiggle all 10 toes. And keep that weight right through that first and second metatarsal. Now from the butt thigh, bend your knees again. Let your glutes support your pelvis. Still the weight's right through the center of the foot-ish. Now keep the knees bent, let the heels lower. Hello, calf and Achilles stretch. Nice little ankle crease. And then straight legs. Let's do that again. Releve. First and second metatarsal, let the knees bend. But keep the torso upright, take your chest back, just fit, y'all. Yeah. Now lower the heels and lengthen the legs. Do that one more time here. Heels up, light floaty spine, knees bend, creating support, not rigidity. Lower the heels and straighten the legs. Now reverse that, kids. You're gonna bend the knees, nice crease at the hip joint, and then lift the heels without changing your height. Notice if you want to shift forward, we're not going to take the escalator, we're going to take the elevator. Straight up, and then lower instead of drop. Knees bend. Height stays the same as you lift from the hamstrings and the glutes. Yes. Straight legs. And lower with control. One more time for funsies. Knees bend. Heels lift. Straight legs. And then heels lower. Now we're going to add that on here. So everybody step to the end of your base here so that you're facing the ladder. Nose is going to be right in line with the split, or just that little strip of wood right in the middle here, your little spine of your base. You're going to keep that as your center line. And again, line yourself up as neutral as you can. Take a nice inhale at the top, and then nod the chin. Round that spine forward, and you're going to find your hands on your carriages. Shoulders right over the wrist. So the weight is going to be more in your legs and more in your torso, but your hands are going to be planted on those carriages. Everyone stay nice and round, and I want you to root down through those heels and lift your toes. So a little bit of that real ankle crease. I want you to turn on the front of the ankle and keep those heels really anchored as your hamstrings press the carriages forward. Just about 6 inches or so. It's not the hands, it's the legs. And then the abdominals, pull your legs back in. Let your head stay dangly. Heels stay anchored as you push from the hamstrings. And gather, come right back in. So your job is to let the butt thigh push the legs out and let the abdominal wall and that psoas pull you right back in. Now this is a decent amount of flexion here to begin with, so I want it nice and even through your spine. If you need a little softness to those knees to distribute that flex evenly, go for the gold. Just do it on purpose. Can you keep those carriages nice and symmetrical? One more time, please. And then again, just pull right back in where you came from, softening through the knees, curl all the way up to standing. 3 inches taller than when you walked in. Let the arms just relax. Everybody feel pretty comfy with that full flexion. Adding on, nod the chin, round the spine forward. Hands again, just right underneath the shoulders. And this time you're going to keep that connection from the hamstrings, but you're going to let your heels pop up with you. Now push further forward, allow your heels to lift and pivot down into a nice little plank position. As you come into your plank, your hands are going to stay just about underneath your shoulders or a little bit in front, maybe eyebrow height. Everyone pause right here and stretch your sternum forward to the ladder. Ooh, so much better, yes. Can you reach those heels in the opposite direction? And would you please lift those bottom ribs up in the same angle here. Take a nice inhale, prepare. Now round the spine again, flex and pull that carriage right back in from that deep low belly. Yes, soften the knees all you need to here. And then curl that spine up to standing. We're going to make that a little flowy. Now we are only on that peach, and especially for a dude body, that's not a whole lot of support for you. So blue is there for you if you want it, okay? We're gonna make this flowy. Inhale, let the arms come up. Exhale, take the arms with you as you nod the chin around the spine. Keep the biceps in line with your temples if you can. Hamstrings out to the crown of the head, please. Articulate forward to a nice plank. Gaze goes 6 inches in front of your fingers. Nod to the chin, round the spine, come right back in. Let the heels land, soften your knees all you need to, curl all the way up to standing. One more time this way, and then we're going to add a step. Arms come with you if you like. Nod the chin, round the spine. If those arms stay aligned with the temples, it's just a longer lever for you to deal with. Press out through the hamstrings, elongate. Good, good, good. Float right back in where you came from. And gather, soften the knees, curl all the way up to standing. Option A. This is good, okay? This is your vanilla ice cream. Option B, if you would like to make a little sundae, you are just going to kick that right heel back. Yep, there's going to be a shift of weight, but I want you to give me as little shift as possible as you simply kick your right heel up. Go, hey fellas. Yes. Now keep that. Everybody gather and lift up out of that supporting leg here. Yes, better. Now nod the chin, round the spine. Let your left hamstring control your descent. The standing leg is going to be helpy helperton. Now pause once you get the hands to the carriage. Just notice it's going to be harder to maintain that center line. No sternum and pelvis, right along with the spine of the base, please. Now as you press out to your plank, I would love you to stretch that opposite leg out behind you. Just keep it about hip height or so. A little more work for that hip flexor and quad. Now lift right back in where you came from. You're just going to put the carriages home. 2 more times would be great, please. Forward and down. And you can just keep the knee bent as it's floating, or you can stretch it out behind you. Exhale up and in. As you lengthen out to your plank, stretch that sternum to the end of the base, please. Nice, Jessica. Yes, gather up through that right underside of the ribs. Exhale, pull it in. Pause with the carriages home. Bending through the front leg, and then roll up to standing. Let that hamstring hold you up. Butt thigh, deep belly, internal zipper. And put that foot down if it's not already. Tons of fun. Round 2 electric boogaloo. Opposite leg is going to kick. And as you do so, everybody pause. I'm going to be really picky as you kick that leg up. Everybody watch me for a sec. Here's where we want to kick the heel up. We just want to lift the leg. If you just move at the knee, then that quad is going to get a little pull long, and it's just going to be more fun for your brain. Okay, take a nice inhale together. Soften that left knee just a bit there, Robert. So lift up out. Yep, think about lifting from that outer hip here. Now nod the chin around. The more that outer hip holds you up, the better. Lift up through that rib ring. Yes, soft through the knee all you need to. 3 times, please, kids. Out and down, and try to keep that left leg separated from the other. Yes, and exhale up and in. So whichever leg is floating, that leg tends to kind of collapse in towards the other leg. You're going to keep it in line with your hip. Out and down. Just 3 times. Keeping that standing leg straight is great. Make sure that quad is happy with that. Once you've got your 3, everybody back into standing. Give me a graceful curl up to standing. Vertebra by vertebra. Yes, butt thigh. And let those arms float all the way down. Tons of fun. Everybody feel okay through there? Outer butt's got a bit of work here. Let's ditch the pounds. We're going to keep the same setup here. Oh, actually, let's do this. Ditch the pounds, but go to a blue band on each side. Blue on each side. And once you've got your blue on each side, this is where we're going to do a little bit of balancing stuff. We're going to start with a small base of support. There's always a nicer way to address it. Okay? So you just go with a blue on each side. So you kick that peach off. Yep. There you go. And then from here, kids, you want to put your ears for a sec. What I would love to see is as that nose is lined up with the spine of the base, we're just going to step the balls of the feet onto that platform here. And you're going to just take a spot on the wall and stare at it. again, we're gonna get that internal zipper to lift up so we're not just hanging out on our pelvis. And we're gonna go with a little kind of treading. We're gonna go just like with your footwork, but then we're gonna turn this into your bird. So notice my back heel's a little bit lifted, but I'm still just on the ball of my foot. This leg is gonna push me forward, and I'm gonna lean into a nice diagonal. So head, shoulders, pelvis, back heel all in line, and then I come right back up. This is what happens. Yep, I'm in a lunge. Doesn't that look comfortable? So be really picky about keeping your spine one long line and pivot at the hip joint rather than lean at the waistline. So strap on your thinking caps, nose is in line with the spine of the base. Remember, you always have, we do have gondola poles handy. I'm just gonna keep one handy in case anyone wants one on short notice. So just the balls the feet are on here. And as you tread, I want one knee to just bend, the opposite heel to reach out, and lift that internal zipper. Let those collarbones relax. And notice where you want to kind of mosey here. Instead of shifting that weight side to side, you're going to let one heel dip down as the opposite knee bends and keep the nose, sternum, and pelvis right in line with the spine of the base. Just saying it's here in case. Just in case.
I'm not proud.
As you do so, notice if there's a sway side to side here. Your job is to keep the weight perfectly even between each side. Now, as you're even, everybody take a little pause with the heels just slightly lifted. Internal zippers, I'm going to give you a little yank here, my dear. Gather up through that pelvis, pick yourself up, and then pick those bottom ribs up, lift your heart, and then tuck those bottom ribs back just a tiny bit. Now from here, kids, glance down to your carriages, and then step that left foot forward to the carriage. So even though that left foot is stepping forward, the weight is still even across the ball of the foot and the heel here. The weight's still even across both feet, okay? Right leg is your huggy boogie here. You're going to inhale, lift, and on the exhale, that right butt thigh is going to press you forward. Lean your torso so it's your nice diagonal. Chest a little bit more forward, and then tuck those bottom. Yes, thank you. And then lift up out of that left butt. Come right back in. Exhale as that right leg pushes you forward. Lean your chest, head, shoulders, pelvis, heel in line. And inhale, lift. And I'm going to politely ask you to challenge your range of motion. You get as deep a hinge on that standing leg as possible. As that left leg glides forward, be here for a second. Lift your spine off with your pelvis, and then snuggle this thigh bone back and stay. So you don't change your pelvis, you just hug the thigh back into your hip. Feel the difference there? Yeah. Now lift up out of your butt, come right back in. I'm going to keep poking you in the butt for a second here. So you lean forward again, and you suction that femur gently back into your hip. Now glutes are going to have to work pretty hard on that front leg. But put your brain on the back leg here. That hip flexor again is getting pulled long and it's got a little weight on it, which is fine. Allow that butt thigh to wrap in a little bit in the back. Now pause right here, my dear. Stick your tail feathers out. And come right back up to upright. 2 more times here, and then we'll add a fun bit. Exhale as you lean. Your level of lean. Lift right back up to upright. Nice relaxed toes. Good. Now lean forward as far as you want to sustain for a moment. So as that right leg's reaching, soften your heel down just a little bit in the back. Yes, kitten heel, not a stiletto. Lean a little bit more forward. Crease at that front hip, maybe a little more. You decide how far you're going. Option A, stay put. Option B, just lengthen that left knee. And then, so you're ironing the floor. You root down into that foot. You keep the weight even through the heel on the ball of the foot. And suction that left thigh bone back into the hip socket. Yes, keeping that femur gliding back, and then lift your torso off of that space. Yes. And then 2 more for funsies, so you take a break when you want. And then, last time. Now pause here. That left knee should be directly over your ankle, and it does not go any further forward. Inhale, hang out, which I know is really fun for that front leg right now. Then exhale, lift all the way back up to upright, upright, upright. Take a little step all the way down here for a sec. Shake it out for a moment. Woo. So where do you guys feel that effort mostly? Butt's talking to you? So here's one thing. I love that butt's talking to you here. But that back leg loves to contribute all of the time. And it's not wrong. It's just you want to keep it as quiet as possible, which is where that butt thigh wrap on the back leg here is going to be really, really helpful. Because if you think about it, how many people are like, oh, my hips are so tight, my quads are so tight. Just really, it is because their butts don't turn on here and they don't know how to get that little snuggle here. So let's go side 2 and see if we can quiet that guy down a bit. You're going to see that a lot. Okay? Second verse, same as the first. Step on up. Anytime you want to get rid of that, let me know. I'll be happy to grab it. Opposite foot's coming forward. Now again, as you're setting yourself up here, you're gonna do it really successful. You're gonna keep the hip points facing the ladder nice and square, and you're gonna make sure the weight's even across both legs. Now the left butt thigh is gonna press you forward, lean that chest, and stick your tail feathers up. Yeah, see how you just kind of anteriorly tilted your pelvis a little? I want that every time. We tend to lengthen the butt by tucking the tail. Take a little pause right here, Missy. Now lift your ribs up away from your pelvis and stick your tail feathers out a tiny bit, just like your thigh bones, widening your hip joint. And then pick yourself up on that right. So we create length, but we don't create tuck to get the length. Exhale as you lean. And let those upper arms just set and think less down, more just kind of snuggling back in space. Yes, just this little settling right here. And come right back up. Same idea, every repetition. Maybe you lean a little further forward, maybe you stay right the heck where you are. You decide how far you're going, but the parameters are that spine stays neutral, and then you are bending that front knee, keeping it right over top of the ankle. If your knee goes in front, yes.
Give me the direction. You're saying to wrap the back leg, the thigh, right?
Exactly. So as you think of just like a little snuggle. See how I just kind of smile up my butt cheek? It's just kind of a little.
Without losing your tail feathers.
Exactly. You're trying to just suction that femur into the hip joint.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you have to change your pelvis.
Got it.
Exhale, reach. Let's go 2 more here, kids. You decide the angle that you're going at. Long. Does that feel a little less terrible on that left side?
It does.
Good, good, good. You get an 8 for today. Let's go one more time. You're going to lean and you're going to maintain this one. Head, sternum, pelvis all night. Take an inhale and hang out. I'm going to put this right against your back here for a second. I want you to give me a little bit more lean forward. Now stick your tail feathers out. Widen your thigh bones. Feel how much more fun that is? Now iron the floor with that front leg, please. I'm going to take this away. It's all you. Now, I love this nice challenge for range of motion here, but you make it as big as you want to make it. Stay light and floaty. Everybody wiggle all 10 toes. One more time here, please. This looks lovely, Jessie. Yes, now the knee is bent right over top of the ankle. Everybody hang out, think happy thoughts. And then we gather and lift. And step all the way out of control. Nice job there, kids. Everybody a little awake in those glutes here. So we're going to keep these loaded in the back. We're going to do a little statue in the back, and then we're going to switch it to the front. With statue, so let's go with your back to your peach in the back, please. With your statue, I love it, but starting at the front is so hard for people to not get dumping in their low backs. I almost always will start with a little preemptive going this direction. So once everybody's got their peaches on, you're going to put them at your top, you're going to step into the trap, and hang on the ladder about shoulder height, chest height, or so, whatever feels good for you. So you're just going to step right into the traps there, and then hands are going to hang on. You're going to reach back and grab onto one carriage and pull it all the way to the front. Other carriage all the way to the front. And when you've got those carriages up the front, take a moment and get those feet really situated. So I'm going to block this for you. So second toe, ankle, knee, and hip-ish. Really all I'm looking for is your feet to be in line with your hip joints here, okay? Not necessarily in the center of the carriage. Now your hands are going to come up a little bit higher there, my dear. And then I'm stepping away. This is all you. I love you to unlock your knees. You're going to hear that 700,000 times, by the way. And pick that pelvis up off of your legs. Get a little bit of gather of that butt thigh to help you avoid that knee locking. Now this is all you. From here, kids, your armpits are going to stay nice and snugly. The elbows are close to your body, but they're not jammed in. Now just lengthen your arms out to your statue position. Straight elbows, straight-ish. And I want everyone to pause once your arms are long. We're going to figure out where the heck your shoulders are on your back here. So we're going to do a little protraction and retraction. Let the springs pull your shoulder blades a little bit forward. And then retract, let those shoulder blades glide back so they kind of pull towards each other in the back here. And I just want to see your scapula wiggle to and fro. Scapula go wide as you protract. And as you retract, you're just going to keep that nice little internal zipper. But I want you to let them just kind of roll alongside the back of your ribcage. Shoulder blades forward. Not super aggressive. You just let the bands ease that musculature into space. If there's one thing I've gotten obsessed about over the years, it's scapulohumeral rhythm. Your upper arm bone, your humerus, and your scapula have got to be friends, and they've got to glide well together. Now, after visiting those two ends of the spectrum, find someplace in the middle. Okay, so your shoulder blades are broad across the back of your ribcage here. And I want you to think just kind of the underside kind of wraps around, just kind of wrapping into your armpit a little bit. Now grow taller through that waist. Keep your shoulders organized. As your elbows bend straight down, pull the carriages forward. Doesn't have to be super far. And then inhale, lengthen back out. Now, as we're going forward and back here at first, I want you to reinforce that nice little internal zipper. Pelvis off the legs, ribs up out of the pelvis, lift up out of the crown of the head. Now, if the forward and back is as far as your body wants to go today, fantastic. I love these knees not locking. This is fabulous. Pull your thigh bones away from each other a little bit. Yes, so that outer hip gets a little bit of action too. That's going to frame your pelvis. Now, option A, just stay with the forward and back. Option B, everyone lengthen the arms and pause with the arms long. Get a little pressure down into your triceps so they're going to be nice and helpful. Lift your heels a bit without moving the carriages, please. Hang out and enjoy. It is not illegal for your elbows to have a little bend, but keep as mild a bend as you can. Now, lower the heels, pull the carriages forward. You can do that in 2 separate movements or just one. Up and out. Lengthen the arms. And I'm going to invite you to come up one more round. And just remember, the ladder rows are suggestions. You do a couple of reps and like, I'll give you a suggestion if I see something going on here, but you can always kind of play with it. Elbows bend as the heels lower down. Lengthen the elbows as you lift the heels. Weight right on the balls of the feet. And lower the heels as you come back down. Now lift the heels, lengthen your arms, and take a little pause with this one. As those heels are lifted, you can keep all those toes nice and wiggly. Everyone encourage those thigh bones just slightly away from each other so that outer thigh and inner thigh come in handy. It's not like your feet have to move. You're just getting a little contraction in that outer butt where we're also super underdeveloped. So push into my fingers with your thigh bones. Y'all have this, kicks on? There's one thing you remember today. It's that outer butt, friend. So settle those upper arm bones, yes. Now take your left leg 2 inches forward, right leg 2 inches back, and I mean 2 inches. Your carriages are gonna be overlapped. Now switch, right leg forward, left leg back. Switch and switch. Now I'm gonna suggest a pace for you. You find what feels good for you. And I love the heels being lifted. If those calves start to get really worn out, just let the heels come down. It's just gonna be a little bit tricky for your femur to glide. And as you do so, I should see absolutely no movement from anywhere in the rest of the body here. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. So keep that outer thigh action, but stick out your tail feathers a little bit. Yes. Inhale and exhale. One more time each side. Inhale and exhale. Now even your legs out. Lower the heels. Take a little break there for a sec. Graceful dismount, real quick here. So one leg glides all the way back. Yep, step into the track. Other leg glides all the way back. So just going with that little point walking here, with the heels lifted and just wiggling the legs to and fro. Where do you guys feel that effort mostly there? Abdominals really have to work your legs for not getting yanked out from underneath you. Good. Where do you guys feel it mostly there?
Oh, abs.
Good, good. So can I use you as a fabulous example, my
Sure.
dear? Let me just show you a little refinement that Teresa is a fabulous mover, but she does a little thing that you'll see really common. Can you step right back on there, my dear?
Absolutely.
This is another fun thing we do in teacher training. Everything you do is fabulous. Can you do that compensation again so I can show you how to refine it?
Oh, what a fabulous opportunity for learning
Stop and look
your
at Teresa.
imbalanced body is.
So just get into that lovely position. You got it there, my dear? All right, so long arms, heels lifted when you're ready. And so she's creating some nice gather through her abdominals, but what she's doing is getting a little, do you see how she's just a little bunchy in her sacrum? A lot of times, and especially with like dance, they always tell you to like lengthen the spine, and so many dancers will go, okay, and just tuck their butts underneath them forever. So we were cueing those thigh bones to widen a little bit, but as she's, so go ahead and just kind of untie to like stick out your tail feathers a little bit. So see how she gets a little wider across her sacrum here? You're dealing with so many people who are so compressed and so bunchy here, and then they try to elongate and flex, and then it feels even worse. I want that width across her sacrum, not only to get this, but she also is going to create some space for that abdominal wall and that little rib cage connection to snuggle back against. So this is less tucky, and it's going to make it easier for her to get into her belly here. And then start to walk those legs. So, and it's not going to the opposite end of the spectrum. You're not going super arched. You're just trying to keep it, the sit bones aiming down rather than aiming down and forward. Okay? So that subtle little compression, you're going to see in a lot of people. I want you to get really picky about that. Thank you for letting us stare at your pelvis, dear.
Of course.
So let's hop back on. Let's go. Let's hop back on. Let's go one more step in this position. Same position here, kids. So right back into that statue. articulation this time. Now into that tabletop with the carriages in the back space. Again, it's really fun to keep those feet underneath your pelvis, so that's exactly what I'm going to ask for. So everyone's going to lengthen their arms out into their statue position. Take a little pause here. I'm going to be really picky. The second I say roll down, everybody wants to look down and then fold right at the waist. So you are going to lift up, nod the chin, round the upper back, keep your arms long and articulate that spine forward. Let the carriages glide out as you do so. Lengthen those arms out a bit there, Miss Cascadia. Lengthen out and walk your hands down the ladder. And as you continue, take a little pause, everyone. Everyone unlock your knee joints a little bit here, yep. And then continue to roll that pelvis over the femurs. Now stretch your sternum forward. Start to flatten out your back to a tabletop here. So yes, elbows stay a little bit, but soften those upper arm bones back a little. Yes, so they kind of plug into the back of the ribs. And your feet, ideally, are right underneath you. And this is the bummer part here. Feel pretty comfy with that, my dear. Lift your chest a little more so you're a little bit longer in the upper back. More. Grab chair. Now soften your knees and take your legs back a little further, but don't change this. See how much harder that is on your abdominals? Let the armpits hold you, legs back a teeny tiny bit more. Soften your knees here and untuck your tail. Everyone, see how you want to drop the ribs instead? Now untuck your tail instead. That feels weird, yes?
Yes.
Take a nice inhale and hang out. Everybody's wide in the sit bones. Love it, Teresa, good. Everyone gather that tail, snuggle that abdominal wall in, and stack right back up. Vertebra by vertebra by vertebra. The last thing is the head. Articulating through that spine. Take a nice inhale at the top, and then do it again. Nod the chin, elongate your neck, lift up, out, and over to flex. Roll that pelvis over the femurs, let your knees soften. Yes! And then as you lower your chest, you stretch more forward. You untuck your tail, you allow those sit bones to reach. Yes! So see how your chest doesn't even have to go as low. I don't care how low your chest is. I care that your spine is long and neutral-ish. And I care that you can release those sit bones. I care that those upper arm bones are nice and plugged in. Take a deep inhale, hang out. Exhale, keep the feet under your hips, please, as you curl that spine right back up. From the bottom to the middle to the top. The head is the first thing down, and it's the last thing up, isn't it? That's the really hard part, is we get about 2/3 of the way up, and then the chin wants to jump. I want that head to be the last thing. Let's go one more time here. Nod the chin, round the spine forward. Up, out, and over to come down. You're diving over a hurdle, rolling that pelvis. I saw those knees. Thank you, ma'am. Stretch that sternum forward. Good. Broad. As we're in this position here, take a little pause. Notice how those shoulders are nice and organized here, okay? Those lats get pulled long, but I want you to make sure you feel comfy here. So if those hands need to come down a rung, they are always welcome to do that. Can you come up one rung there, Miss Jessica, just a little bit higher? And then lengthen your arms a bit. Let the carriages glide out. Yes. Doable through there. Good. Hang out, enjoy. Bend your elbows out to the side to a little goalpost. Let the carriages come forward a bit. Only as far as you don't wang your head on your ladder, please. Inhale as you lengthen back out. Exhale, wide armpits. Elbows in. The pinky side of your hands got a little bit more pressure. Inhale as you lengthen. One more time this way. Exhale as you bend. Little glidey, slidey scapula sliding along the back of the rib cage. Lengthen your arms and take a little pause. Feet underneath your hips, please. And then articulate that beautiful spine all the way up to standing from the bottom to the middle to the top. I love lumbar flexion. I want you to flex through the entire spine though and take that head up last. UTS. Now let's go one more step while we've got those carriages set up here. Straight arms with the hands just again about shoulder height or so if they haven't walked all the way up. Again, I'm going to invite you to lift those heels and maintain them for a sec. We're going to go back into that point walking here, okay? But as you slip the legs, we're going to go right leg forward, left leg back, just a couple inches. Pause right here. Keep the split. So think about your left leg here. That leg that's back, that butt thigh, again, has got a squeeze so that hip flexor doesn't grip. Now take your right arm to the side. Pause right here. First and second metatarsal is still weighted. If this is as far as you go, great. Everybody's ribs look nice and stacked. If you're feeling adventurous, rotate your rib cage to the right. That ladder arm stays nice and long. The carriages will glide back a little bit, only as far as you can keep the organization. Straight legs on both sides. Yes! And then bottom ribs snuggle in. Now I'm going to stay out of your way, which is easy because I'm short. Unrotate, bring that hand back onto the ladder. Square the legs. Switch, gather up away from my fingers. Butt thigh supports as that leg goes back. And then rotate the rib cage to the opposite side. Whichever leg is forward, that's the side you're going to rotate toward. Now technically you can rotate towards both, but this is gonna be nicer for people. On, rotate, bring the hand back on, switch the legs. Rotate towards the right. Inhale, open your chest as you rotate. Let those lungs expand across the chest. Use that exhale to pull into the center. Bring the hand back on, switch the legs. Rotate towards the left with an inhale. Nice long knees. Everybody's in a stiletto or in a kitten heel instead of a stiletto. On, rotate, switch the arms. Switch the legs. So your head, your ribs, your pelvis are all stacked. The weight is still even across each leg here. First metatarsal on that right side, friend. Yep, and let your heel go wide on the right if you can. Yes! Does that feel okay on your knee?
Yeah.
Good, good, good. On, rotate, and you can challenge that range of motion with your legs if you feel comfortable going into a bigger split. As long as you keep that weight even, I'm fine with that. Rotate the ribcage. So whichever leg's in front, yeah, lift up out of the waist. Make sure it's a turn of the ribs rather than just moving the head and moving the arm. Give me one more time each side, even yourselves out. First metatarsal weighted. Thank you, right heel. Pause right here, pelvis a teeny tiny bit to your right. Your ribs look great, but just your pelvis scoots over. I said right, sorry, your left. Now pick yourself up, stick your tail feathers out. On, rotate. Once everybody is even on each side, we pause with the legs in line. We pause with both hands on the ladder. Lower those heels finally if they're not already. And then take a graceful step all the way up. One leg back, step into the trap, other leg back. Beautiful work. Everybody feel okay through there? Now let's add some oomph to it here, okay? So I'm going to have you take your carriages up to the front space. We're going to still be on the beach. Ooh, actually, let's take it up to a blue. I like. Up to a blue. And then we're going to do a little good feeling movement. And then let's go ahead and slide up your straps as well. So you're just going to thread your straps up one more notch so that your straps are just a little bit on the shorter side. And if that feels, that's awfully long. We're going to keep it there and see what happens. All right, so you got your straps, set it out one extra rung, and then you've got one blue band on here. With this one, do you have to seal yours, Jessica? Thank you, darling. All right, so with this, you can have your straps just kind of tucked to the side for the moment once they're shortened. You're going to start out in that neutral. Hands can be shoulder height or chest height. But we are simply going to shift that weight back. Again, this is where that pelvis has got to shift over top of your thigh bones. And what we tend to do is this, right? We get all compressed and just try to leave the pelvis. So I turn into kind of a water skier. I want that neutral spine to just shift back. So we're just going to go back and forward a couple of times. If that feels okay, we're going to do our hoofing here, which is going to make it a lot more interesting for you here. A little bit less likely you're going to get into that low back, and it's going to be a lot more demand on those obliques. If that works, we're going to add on. Okay, so hands on shoulder height-ish. Make sure the feet are underneath you. Pick your pelvis up, let the thigh bones be wide. Now your hands are hanging on, but remember it's the armpits that are anchored. Lean your whole neutral spine straight back. And as you do so, take a little pause. Make sure that your sit bones are simply aimed down. This looks good. Lift up out of those torsos though, and snuggle your ribs back a little. Give me a little snuggle of that upper arm. Yes, good. And then just shift right back forward here. Straight back, straight forward here. Untucked tails. Lean straight back just until your arms are straight. Now pause right here. Notice how you want to lean into it. You've only got so much arm. Take your hands up one more rung. And then come right back in. Now again, you can just stay with the forward and back, or let's everybody lean and sustain it. My knee lockers, check in with your legs. Make sure they're supported by your musculature instead of hanging on your connective tissue. Now keep your long arms and hoof on the left without changing anything else in your body. So your thighs stay perfectly stable. It's just movement from the knee down. Inhale, unhoof. Root down through that foot as you hoof. Good. The thigh likes to swing to and fro with you. You're just going to stay on the one side. Take a little pause here. Pick yourself up. Straight legs. Both heels are down. Straight legs. Lift up out of legs. So pause right here. Carriage home. Just straighten your knees down. Yep. So now, that's $1 you owe me for. Sorry. Now hoof on the left. See how much harder that is? And then unhoof with control here. Hoof on the left. One more time here. Unhoof and take a little pause right here. Everybody lean yourselves forward for a second here. Do you feel those obliques have to turn to hold you up here? Good, good. Can I use you as an example real quick? Yeah. You're doing a great little thigh thing. Thank you for letting us stare at your body. Lean straight back here again. So one thing Jessica says here, find that lovely neutral. So you want to make sure head to ribs, take your pelvis forward just a tiny bit and lift up tall. Yes, there you go. See how she just gets that lift. Now, hoof on one side, doesn't matter which one you go to. So when she's moving her thigh forward, that indicates A, her abdominals are not holding her thigh still, B, her hamstring is not getting work. Body's real smart, it finds the easiest way to do things, and if she just moves her thigh forward, that's not very hard for you, is it? Pretty easy, huh? So pull your thigh bones apart a little bit, get that outer booty on, root down through the foot, and move just from the knee down without changing your thigh. Roll up to your heel, push that carriage back more. More. See how this has got to work? Now let it control that return, and stay away from my thumb. Okay, hoof without pushing it. Yeah, see how much more work that is? I want you to keep that, my dear. So let's go with the opposite side here. Be really picky about those thighs staying put. Pelvis is floating over top of the legs. Good even weight distribution. Hoof on the right. And up right with a capital. You chest back. Lovely long spine. And then, yep, bottom ribs pull in. And then hoof. Inhale as you return. Same side here. Exhale, just hoof. So inner and outer thigh on that standing leg are doing some stuff too to help you support. Now again, you can just stay with the vanilla ice cream. You can just hoof and unhoof, trying to maintain everything from the knee down stable. Otherwise, let's hoof on the right and keep it. And let's add on and keep that right hoof as you reach the left arm to the side. And again, rotate your rib cage to the left. And try to keep this ladder arm nice and long. Straight arm, pretend you have no elbows. Yep, hip yourself up. Now, as you're here, kids, take a little pause. Everyone's rotated, or the arm is floating if you like. Ideally, you can float that right hand off the ladder without feeling like you're going to fall over. I'm just saying it's possible. I'm not saying it has to happen today. Okay? Put that hand right back on if it's not already. Let's untwist. Unhoof that right side. Again, let's do that on the left. So you're going to hoof on the left leg this time. Root down through that foot. Really roll through that stable foot. And then once you've got your hoof, rotate the rib cage to the right. Open your chest. Still, the head, the shoulders, and the pelvis are all stacked. It's so easy to sway off to the center here. Ribs a teeny tiny bit to your right there, sir. Yes. Unrotate, put that hand back on. Unhoof on the left side. Let's do that one more time each side. Hoof on the right. Upper arm bones snuggling gently back rather than down. And rotate towards the left. Ladder arm stays long, ideally. Unrotate. Unhoof. Light and long. Everybody lifts that rib cage off of the pelvis and gather that internal zipper into that space. Opposite side. Rotate to the right. Good. Keep the hand on if you have to. Just don't get married to it. Unrotate. Unhook on that left side. Everyone still leans back in their neutral spine. Now just lean yourselves forward onto your feet here. Any questions about that at all? Everybody feel pretty comfy with that? Okay, good time. So that's just in kind of your hoofing variations here. We're going to do one more fun little hoof variation. And this one's kind of a good feely one here. We're going to steal yours this time. So we're just going to start out letting the carriages stay home, leaning back like you just did, but you turn the whole spine into a nice little C curve. You move through that C curve, and you flatten your back out. So my shoulders hang lower than my wrists, but I'm not hanging in my shoulders. I keep that little plugging in, that little organization, and I get a little openness through my sit bones just as I'm here. This is where I want to end. This is where I want you to end. And then you're going to gather and curl right back up. If that feels okay, we're going to hoof, and we're going to lengthen and flex. And we're going to unflex, and we're going to come back in. If that feels good, we're going to add on. All right, so lovely tall spines. Keep the carriages still at first. Lean everything back, find a nice long, even C curve. Belly button back in space. Your eyes are looking down, but your head stays above your arms, please. Now travel through that C curve, let your sit bones open, let your chest lift, and flatten your back out. So soften your knees, untuck your tail, stick your booty out, and lift your chest. So you can even get a little whisper of extension if that feels good. So you're rolling through your C curve.
I'm sorry, I just don't understand this one.
That's okay. So it curl from the tail all the way back up. So you're going to lean back and round, and then you're going to flatten your back as you continue to lean. Now pause. Yes. And then you curl the pelvis up, and you come right back up. It's like a little standing roll down, and you get to lean back with it. Now tuck the tail, scoop the belly. Yeah, exactly. And just really enjoy the trip up. Let the elbows bend as you do so. Give me one more good feely one. Head to tail, flex. It's not a lean. Yes, roll through those sit bones. Lift your chest as you reach your sit bones out, letting the shoulders stay organized. And then curl the tail underneath, deep low belly curl, come right back up. All the way back up to upright. Does that make a little bit more sense there? Just a good little undulation. Now let's add on to it. So everybody's tall. You're gonna hoof on the right. And we're gonna take that right leg hooked with you. Lean back and flex your spine at the same time. Arms go long. And I want you to pause right here. As we go into that flex, everyone wants to collapse from the rib cage up. I want you to think about flexing from the ribs down as well. So lift the ribs off of the pelvis, gather that low belly, and get a little tuck at the tail, round that spine. It's like you're on the vaudeville stage, yes, and that hook is yanking you off. You want to make sure that hook is around your navel. Now, is the weight even across each foot still? It sure is, Joe, because I haven't had to change that at all. Good answer. Now, unflex. Come right back up where you came from. You're still in your hook. And then unhook with control. So you're just taking that hook and you're adding some things. Hook on the left, lengthen and flex. The weight is still even across the knees. Since you're looking down, you get an opportunity to use that visual of that spine at the base. Your nose, your sternum, and your pelvis are all right in line. Your arms are long, but you're still maintaining this nice little snuggle of the armpits. Great. Unflex, come right back up to upright. A couple more times each side. Inhale as you hug. Exhale as you flex. Round through the spine. Inhale as you unflex. Come right back up. Inflate the spine as you inflate the lungs. And unhook with control. Hoof on the opposite side. Lengthen and flex. Round. Unlock knees are best. Here too, if you took those hands away, could you hold yourself in this position or are you hanging on your arms? Unflex. Come right back up from the tail to the head. So round, 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 round. And unhook with control. One more time each side here, kids. Hoof on the right. Lengthen and flex. Now we're going to add on to this one. So spine is round, soften through that left knee so your left hamstring is on instead of hanging on connective tissue. Yep. Pick yourself up. Hold right here, kids. Now that right arm is going to reach out to the side. Rotate the rib cage to the left. Thread the needle underneath your left arm. So you're going to stare at your own bicep. Even though we're adding some rotation from the rib cage up, you still have that pelvis level. You still have the weight even, and that left knee is unlocked. Pick your pelvis up just a bit there, my friend. Up, 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 up. Yes, get lighter on those legs. Take a big inhale as you unrotate. Put the hand back on. Unflex. Come right back up to upright. And unhook with control. Hoof on the left. Lengthen and flex. Nose, sternum, and pelvis are still hovering over that spine of the base. The arms are long with those upper traps. Yes, thank you. And just let that head stay nice and floaty. You are looking down. Just keep the neck long. And then the opposite arm reaches out. As you rotate, yes, you get to twist that spine. I want you to keep length on that reaching side. It's really easy to collapse on that left side here. The distance between the ribs and the hips are still the same. Now again, we unrotate, put the hand back on, unflex. Come right back in with control. One more time each side here, kids. Everybody feeling okay on the toes? Good, good. Hoof on the right, lengthen and flex. Think more about flexing back rather than pushing down. The right arm reaches with an inhale. And use that exhale to really clear out the lungs. Take a nice little twist like you're wringing out a sponge. Take a big inhale as you untwist. The hand comes back on. Unflex. Come right back up to upright. And unhook with control. Last time on the left. Lengthen and flex. Pause right here as you're back in that hook flexion. Your thigh bones are still in line with each other. Yes, thank you, hamstring. Reach that opposite arm. And rotate. Soft knees are awesome knees. Weight is even across each leg, even as they're doing two different things. Unflex, bring the hand, unrotate. Hand comes back on, then you unflex, and then you unhook. Beautiful job, kids. Legs doing okay here? Good, good. So here's where we're going to use the handles now. I want you to step down just for a sec. Throw on a peach as well. And for your little body here, my dear, that blue might be enough. We're going to do a little F stretch. So if you feel more comfortable in the blue, you can do that. Go for the full with the blue and the peach if you want to. I like this on a gray, but that could be a little squatty. I'm going to invite you to go to a gray and see if you like that here. A little something to push into that hamstring. The F stretch is fabulous. Let me steal yours again here real quick. The thing we all have a tendency to do though is we're getting up here. I've got to push the carriage out a little bit to get set up on the second ladder rung. My hands are hanging onto the handles, or you can go hands-free if you're feeling adventurous. Now, as I press out, what we have a tendency to do is just let this leg do all the work. And remember that foot just kind of stays hanging out behind your hip, And that doesn't really feel like you're doing anything, right? So that heel has got to be underneath your keister. You have to feel more weight in your heel on the standing leg. And the more you can keep your pelvis over the center of the base, the better. But you're human, you're standing on one side, there's gonna be a little shift, okay? But you're gonna keep it as snug as possible. So starting off here, just remember that standing heel stays under your bum. Let's step on up here. Hands have the handles and the ladder to begin with. Let's push that right carriage back a couple inches here and then step your left ball of your foot up. Ball of your foot on the bar here. And you have, yes, you've got toe socks. I was like, do those have pockets on them? Good. So the toes want to hang on. I want you to make sure it's just the metatarsal. And your heel is going to stay the same height as the ladder. Just go to the second rung there, friend. Yeah, that's going to be much easier for you to set up. And that right leg has got to be under your butt or you owe me $1. So right leg forward, friend. Right leg forward, more. Right leg more forward. Right leg more forward. So this guy, it's going to be right under your butt right here. Now hands come off the ladder, just hang onto the handles. Push downward onto the handles and lift up tall. Now just that left leg is going to push the carriage away. And you're going to stay tall. I do not have to see this left knee straighten. A lot of the times actually if you straighten that knee, it tends to go a little collapsing and we get tucky in the tail. So I really am only interested in 90% of straight on that ladder leg. If you can keep that pelvis nice and lined up, go for the gold here, but I don't have to see it straight. Lift up out of the torso, exhale as you press. And be here for a second. Lift those ribs off of the pelvis, yes, and settle in those upper arm bones, yes, and then come right back in with control. Stay right where you are, friend. Bring that right leg more forward. Right leg more forward. Use that hamstring. You what?
That's not the right lumbar curve. That's
Yeah.
why it goes behind me.
Well, and that's it. That's where I want you to work towards it. Come right back in with control here. That's just keeping the femur underneath your hip joint. Exhale as you press. And if that feels a little hardy, go to that blue there, okay? Inhale as you return, picking your pelvis up off of your legs. So as we just slide to and fro, if this is as fancy as you go, great. Otherwise, you're going to press out with that ladder leg and pause at your furthest point. That heel is still more weighted than the ball of your foot. Good adjustment there, Teresa. Everybody make sure your thigh bones are kind of pulled away from each other so that outer butt, those outer hips are supported. Now option A, stay put. Let the heel stay the same height as the ladder though. Let your toes go. You don't need your toes, you need your metatarsals to be right whoop, on your top, right there. Now keep your heel high and push downward into your hamstring. That's what's going to keep your foot there. Now add a little rib cage twist. Twist your ribs to one side. Soften that right in. It doesn't matter, go on both. Inhale back to the center, soften that right knee just a little bit. Yes, just there, and rotate. Suction that femur gently back into your hip joint. Check in with that ladder leg and do that again. Just rotate once each side. We're going to do that 3 rounds, just 3 rotations, and then come right back to your starting position. The entire time though, you're picking your pelvis up off of your leg and you're sticking your tail feathers out. Like, yes! I would love you to stay here the whole time.
That would hurt.
Lift up out of that waist. Does that feel okay in your lumbar?
Yeah, I'm
Just
getting
real hard.
tired here.
Okay, I am okay with tired there. You take a break when you need to. Bring it all the way back in for a sec. Step your left foot down for a moment. Everybody keep your head. Standing leg sucks a little bit. Sucks a lot. This is one thing too that I love to get super picky about. Everybody loves to sink onto that standing hip. And you just lose so much of that pelvic support if you don't get picky about it. So let's go side 2 and see how everybody feels. Second rung, third rung, whatever floats your boat, you gotta push the carriage up though. And see that what happens though is that tucks everything up here. So you can get up there, but your pelvis has gotta be as close to square as that pelvis is gonna let you get. Pick your leg up and get that left foot underneath you. More. Do you feel your hamstring kick on? Take that gaze up, and then armpit stable as you press away through that ladder leg. And then ladder leg helps you control, heel is high, let those toes go. Exhale, press downward onto the ball of your foot to push out. So thigh length is hold right there, that's as far as I want you to go. And then come right back in. Because if that knee straightens, that's where we want to hang on the toes. So just give it a 90%, maybe 95% of straight. Pick your torso up though. Keep that floatiness. Exhale as you press. Distance between the ribs and the hips is as square as humanly possible. Lift the ribs up off of the pelvis and just settle this thigh bone back into your hip joint. Not down, but just snuggle it back in space. And then exhale, press from that snuggled hip. Wide and long, wide and long. Get that left leg a little bit more forward, doll. Yes, use that hamstring. Now again, you can take a little break here, or let's press out just as far as you're okay with sustaining. 3 times here. Rotate the rib cage to one side. Stick your tail feathers out just a bit. Yes, just that little release of tuck. Inhale, untwist, grow taller to untwist. There's a little natural compression as you rotate. That's fine. It's natural. Just decompress as you untwist. Rotate. Now I love everything, but I want that left leg to go a little more forward. See how that butt's got to turn on more in the back? Resist that spring with that high hamstring and low glute. Hands are hanging onto the handles. That's fine. Just make sure there's no death grip. Ribs a little bit to your right as you twist. This time knee to your right. Yes. And then untwist. Once you're even on each side, again, bring it all the way back in. Take a little chill pill. Step that foot down for a second. That gray band feel okay there, Robert?
Great.
Good. I love a gray band. I love a little something to push into. It's good times. Everybody else feel okay there? All right, so we're going to stay kind of in that same vein. Again, we're going to hold ourselves on one side. It's going to be a little bit of a bummer, but it's going to be good for you, okay? So everybody eat your veggies. We're just going to be on the blue, and I'm going to invite you to go down to blue for this. So another thing I love to get picky about, I'm going to steal yours this time, if you don't mind, the arabesque. So as we're going with this, we don't go pretty dancer arabesque, we go boring Pilates arabesque, which means everything stays square and parallel here. So as I kick my heel back, same idea. I'm not letting my thigh come forward, I'm not sinking onto my hip. I'm holding myself, and I'm just kicking that heel back, ideally without any shift. So notice I still have my pelvis over the spine of the base. There's a little push and pull with the arms here, and that's fine by me. Now, as I move, I'm looking to just pivot at the hip joint, and I'm painting a stripe up the wall with my sit bones, and then I pivot right back up to upright. Here's what happens, though. And how many times have we seen people just turn themselves into a nice little mound and then come right back up here? So it's that pivot over the hip joint that is so tricky for people because, again, we're kind of stuck in that tilt. So what we're going to actually do is articulate. I'm going to nod the chin, I'm going to round the side, and I'm going to make my way, just like you did with the 2 legs earlier, and I'm going to curl the tail and come right back up. So this last couple bits, I want to see those sit bones reach out, and notice I bend my knee a little bit to get that done, just so I'm not fighting with that shortened hamstring a little bit, okay? But it's going to do a lot of work to hold you up here. So first things first, just stand on up. You can tuck your straps out of the way, you don't need them for the moment. And I'm going to invite you to have your hands just waist height or so, a little bit lower. And then from here, make sure your feet are underneath you without shifting anything else. Just kick your right heel back. Everything else stays put. That right foot floats off. And ideally, you are still centered over top of that spine of the base. Now, everyone's different heights, and we've only got so many ladder rungs. So if you want to play with your hands at a higher level, that's okay. Nod the chin, round the spine as you push the arms out, and articulate into that arabesque. So all your arms have to do is stay long and glidey, stretch that right leg back, but as you reach it, I don't care how high that leg goes. I do care that it stays right in line with your hip joint, and I want you to reach your left sit bone back like it's your job, and technically it is for some of you. So that left foot is right underneath your hip, right? Ooh, bend your knee a little bit more. Bend, bring it more forward, doll. Yes, deep inhale, hang out, and exhale, gather to curl right back up. Let your hands walk up and down a little bit, or if you want to just keep the hands low, go for the goal. That right heel is floating. Articulate to that arabesque. Nod the chin, round the spine.
So I'm articulating
Yeah.
down.
It feels a little weird. Push out with the arms and round out to that arabesque. Walk your hands on another round. Stretch your sternum forward. Stretch your sit bones back. That pelvis is square, so your right hip is going to have to turn down more than you want it to. And then gather and curl back up. That's much better, Jessica. Yes, roll. I do not have to see a straight standing leg. I have to see a rolly pelvis over that standing leg. Do it again. Nod the chin, round. Up, out, and over. Reach those sit bones out. Stretch the sternum forward. Glidey, happy shoulders. Deep inhale, hang out. And exhale, gather and curl right back up. Soft through the knee. Now this time, kids, put your foot down for a second. Give yourself a little break. Everybody doing okay on that standing here? Good. So I want you to do the same thing on that same leg, but now we're going to keep the spine straight. Okay, so no articulation. Hinge at the hip sockets. Get that good pivot without having to roll through the spine. Solid unit, just pivot. Loose feet, tight seat. Your toe can point a little bit. Just make sure you have some circulation in those feet. And pivot yourself right back up to upright, please. Sit bones aim straight down. And exhale, sit bones aim straight back. Paint a stripe up the wall with the back of your pelvis. Thank you for squaring that pelvis. And reach right back up to upright. One more time for funsies. Exhale as you glide. Reach, reach, reach. Now take a little pause once you're in your arabesque here. Is everybody doing okay on that standing leg? Yes, I'm sure you're super happy to be here. You are welcome to take a break at any time. If you're feeling adventurous, the floating leg is going to lower straight down until you tap the frame and lift right back up. Don't change anything else. Inhale as you lower. Keep the spine reaching forward towards your ladder. Let the arms be long but easily organized. You shouldn't have to push it out too much because your butt's holding you, right? Untuck that knee here. Let that left knee, yes, and stick your booty out there. Thank you. Lower, that sucks a little bit more, yeah? One more for funsies. Pause once you're floating. Float straight up. Neutral spine, angles up. Nice doll. Yes, 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 yes. Put that foot down if it's not already. That is a long time holding yourself up on one side. A little shake out if you need to here. Everybody feel okay there? All right, so we're going to go with the opposite side. We're going to start with the articulating version. We're going to do 3 of those and then 3 straight back. And then we'll do a little outer butt stretch after this. So you're kicking the opposite heel back, holding yourself as much over the spine of the base as you can. Articulate into your arabesque. Sternum forward, sit bones back, and that right foot is under your butt. Bend that knee. Bend, bend, bend. Yes, bring that carriage a little more forward, doll. Yes, and then come right back up. Articulate, scoop through that belly. Yep, yep, yep. Super tall. Let the arms help you control that descent and ascent. Lengthen out, stretch long, 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 long. Right butt back, left hip a little forward. Yep, exactly. Deep inhale and articulate and enjoy. That head is part of the equation. Remember, you're trying to elongate that cervical spine. It's so easy to just put that chin on the floor. You work against gravity. Stretch that hairline back. Left hip a little forward. Yes, I love this standing leg. Good. Suction that femur gently back into your hip joint. See how that quiets the front a little. And then again, articulate back up. So that's your 3. Let's go 3 flat back or take a break in between if you need it. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to hinge. Inhale, hang out. Right butt cheek back just a bit. Yeah, and exhale, float right back up. Neutral spine, yes. Deep inhale. The only thing that changes is the pelvis over top of the femur. Stretch it longer, longer, longer. Beauteous. Keep the box between the ribs and the hips nice and square. This is where I would love you to pivot forward and maintain. Hang out. Enjoy life. Broad across the shoulders. Lower straight down with that left leg and pick it right up. It's great if you can touch the frame. If you don't go all the way down, that is no biggie. And as you do so, make sure that leg stays right in line with your hip. Straight down and straight up. Sucks a little bit more, yeah? One more for funsies. Lift and take a little pause. Now I'm taking my hand away. This is all you. Pick yourself right back up, please. Up, 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 up. And then put that foot back down. Nice work there, kids. Yeah. So that whole outer hip line is just so weak. We know quads, we know glutes. We don't know how to use abductors and adductors really well. So that encouraging the thigh bones apart from each other gets all of this to create a little bit more framework for that pelvis. So it's not just these 2 front and back to get all of that work done. Everybody feel pretty comfy with that? Any questions or anything so far? Everybody's pretty comfy? All right, so let's keep the carriages up at the front space. Here's your good feely part here, okay? Because I do know a couple of those. We're going to go with a gray band up at the front. And again, this is a little bit of a weird setup. And this is super fun to find the right angle for different heights of bodies here. So I'm going to see yours this time, if you don't mind, my dear. So what I'm going to do here is stand with the outside foot in the back carriage, the inside foot in the front carriage, and I'm just going to have them stacked like I'm kind of walking a tightrope here. It's always fun when you're just kind of like staring at the camera. It's just like, is it working? So from here, your hands is going to be kind of low. As I have my legs stacked, I'm going to soften my knees as I lift and take an easy side bend, and my hand finds a ladder rung. So not only am I just kind of sinking down a little, I'm leaning out. So the nice thing is this not only gives me a little armpit stretch, but also my QL and my TFL, all the stuff on the outside of the hip that gets so tight and congested. If I just lean out and I allow my knees to bend pretty significantly, this whole outer hip should get some nice work.
So is this similar to like what we do on the fuzzies?
Yes.
Okay.
But I find it a lot more effective because we're going to add a step here. Notice as I get into this position, my back heel is up, okay? That's an important thing. I'm going to slide it out. I'm going to let the heel come down. Then as I come back in, I let that heel pop up, and that reinforces that stretch. So it's more kind of that lower hip stuff as opposed to like, you know how you're kind of hanging on your arm? It's a little bit more about the lower half here, okay? So let's have everybody standing with the ladder to the right. Okay, so you're going to face this way here. Your left leg is going to be in the back. The right leg is going to be in the front. And I love this exercise. My brain always switches left and right, outside, inside, whatever's clever. All right, so your feet are stacked, one right on top of the other. Your hand's going to be, come down one more rung with that right hand. Everybody's going to go kind of low with their right hand. And then from here, you're going to lift up tall, side bend and let your knees bend, and then let that left hand find the ladder rung that it wants. Lean everything out. Yeah, I'm going to invite you to go to that one. Yes, that's going to give you a little space. Now, you are shortening on that right side, but I want you to be happy about it, okay? Thank you for picking that head up a little bit. Now lean everything more to the side. See how that gives you this stretch? So I want everyone to just find the level of stretch and make sure your shoulder is comfortable with this weird position because I'm asking your scapula to do a little of that upward rotation and get a little slidey. Comfy on your shoulder there, my dear. Good. Take a big inhale and send that air into your armpit. On the exhale, just see about maybe leaning a little deeper. We're not smushing the right side. We're just creating nice space on this side here. If that is as far as you go, great. Everyone should have that outside heel a little bit lifted. Now from here, your outside foot is going to push that carriage away. Let the heel come down as you do so. And keep that buoyancy on this side as you slide that carriage right back in. Stay lifted off of knee. See how that whole outer hip gets some love? Out with an inhale. Let the heels come up as you glide in. Let your thigh bones separate. So this knee's got to be bent pretty stiff. Yes, that's going to give you some room to heel down, heel up as you come in. Feels a little counterproductive. Heel down as you press out, and heel up as you come back and lift up out of this. I see how that encourages that space there. And in, stay lifty, lifty, lifty. Two more here. Yes.
I always have trouble with this, with me and with my clients. Finding it into the TFL and even the QL, it lands in the hip joint and it pulls up here.
Through the ribs?
Yeah, through the ribs and through the shoulders. So what adjustment do I need to make? I feel like the hip joint almost coming dislocating a little bit, like coming out of socket a little bit.
Okay, and that's why everybody take a little pause. This is a good thing to be aware of. And sometimes it's just a little bit more severe range. It depends on the shape of the hip joint. I would say to make it so the shoulder's not just like super duper stretchy, just take your hand down a rung. So you're going to give away a little bit of your stretch in the upper thoracic. So you still get the lean. And then if that feels like it, scoot your foot wider out. And then push that carriage away. And then keep that same liftiness. Now allow that knee to bend as you glide in. Does that suck less?
Sucks less. Put your finger on my hip joint.
And then glide in.
Like, you feel that little, yeah, well, it's not happening now. Okay.
So let me tell you what she's doing. So again, different sizes buys different shapes of hip joints. It really just depends on how like all that tissue is rolling around inside her hips. She had her legs really kind of stacked pretty close to this end. If you scoop both feet out a little bit, that probably will be even a little less uncomfortable. It might not
be bringing the hand down lower.
So it's not quite so intense on your shoulder. You can focus a little bit more on this.
Yeah.
But notice what she's doing here. See how she's kind of leaning her butt back? I would love your yeah. Stay in between the two panes of glass. And pull away from this hand. How does that feel?
And it's catching in my near QL, but that's, yeah.
So if you just go a little easier. Yeah, you just need a little gentler angle, and then the more you can kind of pick yourself up to get into the side bend, the more decompression, the nicer that's going to be on you. Now to get out of this too, because this is kind of a severe stretch, anytime we're getting out of this, I make sure both knees are bent, and then lift up out of the legs, and you just kind of unside bend gracefully to get out of it, just to get out of that crazy QL, because this is all really sensitive alive, and sometimes when you pull on it, It can almost like get a little sheery, a little angry in the opposite direction. So you just want to be like, when you put it on a big old stretch, you just don't want to snap it back like a rubber band. You want to just lift up out of the legs and just easily get out of it, so you're kind of easing out of that stretch. Let's have everybody feel the other side, see how that feels. So heel down as the carriage is out. Feels a little counterproductive. And heel up as you come in, soften that left knee a little bit more. And then out. Feel okay under there? You're welcome. Come right back in. So to get out of this, you're going to have the outside foot in the back, and the legs are going to be stacked one in front of the other. So like tightrope. Now lift up out of the way, soften the knees as you side bend. So bend your knees as you lower. So pause right here, both knees are bent. Pretty significantly. Get on down there. Yeah. And then let your thigh bones separate a little bit. Yes, you got a little outer thigh support, and then just lean everything. How does that feel on this side? I'm going to see the way of that. Okay, so I'm going to take my foot away. You stay put. Out you go with that right foot. And then as you come back in, let that right heel lift and let the knee bend. Yes. As you do so, we're going to encourage this space. Yes. Now slide it in. You feel how that pulls all of this a little longer? So just imagine that sit bone just leaning down. Yeah. Lift up out of the side. Yes. So the thing that we have to be really careful about is getting skewy and rotating. You're going to do, oh, why am I even here, Teresa? Thank you.
Skewy and rotating, so I know it was me.
And lift. And just easing all that space. It's a big, angry kind of little angle there, so you just want to be easy peasy with it. Everybody feel pretty okay on the shoulders so far? Okay, good. Everybody's happy with a little weight bearing in the hands? Okay, we're going to go a little oomphy with this, okay? So once you finish your last one, just gently lift up out of it. Get out of that side bend. Everybody pretty comfy in that low back? Yes? Good, good. Carriages to the back space. Again, I'm going to invite you to throw a peach on in the back. And then again, you're going to want your long pad on your foot plates. And check is all the way down. And then here too is where your hands are going to be on the carriages, so you can decide whether you go naked carriages or if you want your square pads. And then everyone's going to have a seat facing away from the ladder. So your cheeks are just going to be on that narrow little foot plate at the end. And then feet are just a comfortable distance. Knees bent, feet planted pretty easy on the floor. Hands are going to be behind you, so the knuckles are facing sideways. Now on these frames, just know you kind of have to get away around the outside frame. For them, it's just going to be easier to hang the knuckles off here. So if it's a little awkward, just kind of let your fingers be away. So everyone's just sit nice and tall. Separate your knees just a bit so we don't get compressy in the pelvis. Just reach your arms back a few inches. Push the carriages back a little bit. As you do so, as we push the carriages back, what we have a tendency to do is lean everything and hang up. So everyone lift up out of your armpits and be as big as showgirl here, okay? Stretch your arms back, but keep your sternum lifted. Now just getting there should be a nice little stretch for your pecs here. Again, broad shoulders is a little bit more fun. Feel okay through there? If it gets tingly, we veto, okay? You only go as far as it feels nice and stretchy across the pecs in the front of the shoulder. Tinglies in the fingers, that just means we've gone a little far, okay? Now, if that's as far as you want to go, great. Otherwise, continue to press those arms back and let the torso lean a little bit with you. Doesn't matter if you curl the tail or just lean straight back. As long as it feels comfy, you're going to keep your gaze straight ahead, though, just so gravity doesn't sit on your forehead and straighten your neck. This is your knee. Just reaching the arms back, and then just easily come back in. It's a little good feeling awesome part. Dot, dot, dot. Exhale as you reach. And inhale, control. Now, if that's as far as you go, fantastic. Does that feel okay on everybody? Yeah? That feels a little intense. You can always veto here. Now, keep the same position here, but just the right hand is down. The left arm is going to reach forward. Now, from here, we're going to see about adding a little rotation. The weight stays even on your cheeks. Reach the right arm back and add a little rotation, maybe even a tiny bit of extension. But as you do so, this arm that's floating, just let it kind of reach forward here. This is where you're really on Broadway. And then come right back out of it. You get the level of twist that feels good for you. Open your chest to the right. And exhale, gently bring it back in. And as you open and close here, that left butt cheek should still be as even as the right. And right back in. One more time for funsies. Open. Everybody feel pretty comfy through there? Good, good, good. It's like my favorite thing ever. Last time, open your chest just as far as you feel good. Sitting in cement so the pelvis stays put. Come right back in, and then just switch the arms.
Does it matter? Because I know with some moves, it's better to start with kind of like a bent elbow. Should we be doing that with this, or is it?
It all really depends on the kind of the height of the body and the angle. Does that feel a little funky with your arm being straight?
No, I can just usually go a little further when I come out like this, because then I have space to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I would say that's it. That's one where I'll let you play with that. I would say if you're starting with the arms long, you're going to start with the musculature longer, which will give you a more effective stretch. But if your elbow's a little bent and that feels better, and then you lengthen as you get out there, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As long as your shoulders nice and organized, fine. Lift with a nice inhale. Exhale, open your chest as far as you want to go. And pause. Take your chest up. Yeah. So as you do so, wrap this upper arm up. Yeah. See how you kind of snuggle that humerus back a little. And then unrotate. As you're rotating, range of motion is great. Just make it. Yes, that was pretty. Feel okay with the twistiness there, my dear. If your body says veto, you stay parallel. Ain't nothing wrong with vanilla ice cream. Open to one side. And right back in and up. Now, I love that turn of your head. Can you sternum even more than your head, though? Sternum. Lift, 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 lift. Yes. And untwist. See how that's even more fun? One more time for funsies. Up and open. And come right back in. Pelvis is pretty happy with that little lean. Good, good. Both hands back again. Here's where we're going to have a little fun. So as you keep the carriages in, I want to remind you, you are on a light band, which means that band is a little loosey-goosey. Rule number one is nobody snaps their elbow in half here, okay? Well, rule number one is don't fall up. But rule number two, don't snap your elbow in half. So as you're hanging out here, we're going to lift up out of the armpits, and I'm going to keep the carriages home as I simply curl my pelvis forward just into a little baby bridge. Not super high, just so your pelvis, yep, exactly, is right off of your foot plate. Gather and curl, take a little pause. Turn your knuckles so they're facing sideways. Right here, you want more of a neutral shoulder. Is that okay to get around the frame?
Yep.
Yeah, good times. Now stay lifting up out of your armpits, still your heart is nice and soft. If this is as far as you go, great. Your hands are right under your shoulders. I love that. If you're feeling adventurous, push the carriages away with your legs. You decide how far. Did I mention you have two different carriages with a light band underneath you? I want your rotator cuff to like me at the end of this hour and a half. So keep the floatiness, keep your gaze straight ahead. And if it feels like garbage, go small range of motion or veto. Just curling the pelvis up and putting it down is real fun. And if you feel comfortable straightening the legs, that's great. You can let the heels flex. You can go just with the heels on, exactly. And then pull yourself forward with those hamstrings. Have some fun with that. Two more here. Fun.
You know, if you say it, we gotta do it.
Just saying all the cool kids do it? I'm just saying. And in. One more time for funsies, and we'll discuss how amazing you are. Come right back and take a little pause. We're still lifted up out of the shoulders, right? I thought so. And then lower right back down. So that low trap, lat, posterior, all that stuff. This is one thing I love because everybody gets into that shoulders back and down all the time, and then we get into lat lockdown. This is one where you have to use all that stuff. You just have to have a volume knob that nudges up instead of just going right into lockdown and then getting compressed in your shoulder joint. Does that feel okay on everyone? Yes? You want to do another round?
Well, yeah.
Why would I even ask? Of course you do. Lifting up out of the armpits. Your level of gather here. Take a nice inhale when you're ready. And on the exhale, curl the pelvis. 5 times here. Out and in.
This is like pelvic lifts in the reformer.
Yes, exactly. So you could even throw a little shot of that in class. Remember how that felt on the reformer? You're just going to do this with the hands on the mobile side. Now, if you're feeling adventurous, we lengthen and we sustain. You're already cool, so you don't have to go any further with this. If you want to lift one leg, though, you could. And put it down. Lift the opposite leg without sliding to lock on the opposite leg. Yes! Just 2 each side. Exhale, float. Use that psoas. Pick that leg up. Exhale, float. Put it right back down. Bring that carriage in. Lift up out of your armpits. And then put your pelvis down. Nice work there,
The
kids.
next test is if when you come in, does your butt hit the side? Are you able
Ideally, you keep that lift. That is a good question. That pelvic floor, ideally, is keeping that lift enough to where you can clear your foot plate and then set your butt down. But as you notice, it's hard not to drop your butt while you're lifting one leg or even just pushing the carriage out. So that's a good little challenge for everybody to keep that little bit of height so they can get back in. Shoulders feel okay there? Okay, let's finish a little side split stuff. Okay, so carriages are still in the back. You can ditch your pads, you're done with them. And I'm going to invite you to go up to that gray in the back. A nice hearty spring. And in case you haven't noticed, spring and bench are pretty much just the same thing in my language now. I switch back and forth between the equipment so much. So you're going to stay in the back there, Doc. You're just going to stay on the gray in the back. Yeah. And then from here, anytime you're stepping on, we're going to stand on the stable side first. We're all going to be there with the right foot on the foot plate and the left foot on the carriage. So you're coming this way there, my dear. Spin around. You're going to go butt up, butt up. A little closer.
I thought you were having this.
It's like, damn, that's really going to be hard. Now notice, as we're stepping on here, everybody's hips are a little bit different, right? So starting at this really congested, narrow parallel doesn't feel great for everybody. Feel free to step that foot a little wider on your carriage if you need to. But one thing I do want you to have is even weight between the stable side and the mobile side, okay? Check in with your knees, make sure they're unlocked. Everybody's got all those critical connections going, yada, yada, yada. Gather with an inhale, exhale, just push the carriages away, regular split, and come right back in. So we're parallel here. So I'm not looking to go super duper wide. As we go with that big range of motion, that's where you want to have the thigh bones turned out so that your femur is sitting different in your hip joint. We're looking at going a little outside the frame of your body, maybe 45 degrees or so. But we're after rooting into those feet and getting a little outer butt pressure. So that band should be pretty supportive. It's almost kind of nice to go in and out with these little splits here, yes? Pretty comfy? Good, good. Stay floaty. If there's one thing you maintain here, it's that pelvis floating off the thighs, the spine is floating out of the pelvis. Now after your last one here, kids, we're going to press out just about the width of your body, whatever distance you want to go into for a good squat, okay? So if you need to adjust a little wider, a little narrower, that's fine. Now hands on the hips is fine, but I want everyone to think about how easy it is to let that humeral head shear forward. Keep the collarbones broad, and just maintain that as you sit down into a good squat. The carriage stays put as you sit back. Hold right here. Again, the sit bones are wide. Your tail feathers are floated out a little bit. Everybody's a bit of a peacock here. And then gather and come right back up. You just aim the sit bones down without a tuck. Sit back with an inhale. Pelvic floor on stretch. And exhale, gather. Let that basket weave pick you up. 2 more times here. Inhale as you sit back. And exhale, stand it up. Now sit down and get comfy. We're going to be there for a moment. You decide how far down you're going here. Hang out for a sec. Inhale, everyone get lighter in the pelvis. And on the exhale, just settle your femurs back into your hip joint so you can turn down the volume in those quads and that psoas. Now the only thing that moves is the left leg. The left leg's going to slide out from underneath you. Bring it right back in. Straight leg is cool. I don't have to see straight. I just have to see the rest of you supported and buoyant. So as that leg is sliding, you just let the torso stay light and floaty. Yes. And in, nice long, next to the crown of the head's reaching. Yes. Your gaze is just going to look about 6 feet in front of your frame. 2, and resist, and out. Now as you're back in the squat, pause here. Both knees are bent. Is the weight even across each foot? Good. Now, opposite leg. Push out from the right. The whole body's got to move, and the whole body's got to come back in. Exhale out. Wide collarbones, please. Yes, and see how that settles that humerus up. Good. Out, and in. 2 more times here. Left thigh opens the outer hip, rather than just pushing the knee to straight with the quad. Now pause once you're back in your squat. If you need a rest, you're welcome to it. Otherwise, both thighs press away. Both thighs come right back into the squat. Your spine stays exactly the same shape. It's just floating over top of those legs that are gliding to and fro. Out with both thighs, into your squat. Out with both thighs, into your squat. One more time for funsies. Out. And then take a little pause in your squat. Lift up out of the legs. And bring that carriage right back home. Step off just for a sec here. So outer butt's got a little bit of support here, yes? Good, good. You can always go heavy with that. Like sometimes you can even go to 2 reds or 2 reds and blue if you're feeling 2 grays if you're feeling really adventurous. We're gonna stay on this side, but we're gonna change the band tension just on this one side, okay? So you're gonna switch down to a blue, which is gonna be more inner thigh challenge. Less support, so the inner thighs are gonna have to do more stuff. So just the blue and then step back on facing the same direction. External rotation this time, a little bit of turnout. This means we have the opportunity for more range of motion, but you don't have to. And notice toes are going to have to hang out a little bit here. Soften those knees just a tiny bit there, dog. Yes. And then from here, I want you to just open and close in a regular slit and just experience that band tension. I'll always go with a couple of conservative small range of motions here and figure out how I like that band. So inner thighs have got to contribute a little bit to come back in. That pelvis is still nice and happy. Snuggle those bottom ribs back just a little bit there, Robert. Yes, good. Still lifty chest, just a little snuggle back. Everybody feels pretty comfy on these blue bands, yes? Okay, anytime you want to switch back up to more support, you go for the gold. Now this time, kids, I want you to press out just about the width of your body, maybe a little wider. And then just like you did with your turnout, you're going to give me a squat instead. So still the sit-bones wide, but you are going to stay upright as you lower down into a plie, and then come right back up. Keep the carriages exactly where they are. Down into your plie, head, shoulders, and pelvis square, so chest back a little bit there, Bill. Yes, doesn't have to be super deep. Come right back up. One more time this way. Just pull the thigh bones gently out from underneath you. And right back up. If that is as far as you go, fantastic. Otherwise, leave the carriage in for a sec. And strap on your thinking cap. Just the left knee is going to bend as that carriage glides out. So you're going to half of a plie. Pause. Still the weight is even on both sides, yes? Come right back in and up. So thigh bones have got to turn up there. And then as you glide out, that thigh bone just pulls out with you, straight left, right knee, yes, and then come right back in. So that left leg just kind of gets pulled out from underneath you. Feel okay through there? 2 more here, out and down. Love these knees, yes. 1 more time for funsies. Nice gather. Now same thing, right knee bending, left leg out. And just notice if one side's a little more twisting than the other. As we lower, we have a tendency to kind of turn towards that side. I always say this is kind of like a, you know how Axl Rose is this little thing. Technically stealing it from Davy Jones, I'm just saying. You don't want to be Davy Jones or Axl Rose though. You want to stay nerdy and square, okay? Out and down, take all the sass out of it. Yeah, see how much more fun that is? See how much more hip mobility that asks for. Now, as you're even on both sides, take a little pause once you come back in. Here is where you can make a decision whether or not you want more spring, okay? You add that blue, you go back to that gray if you want, but we're going to strap on your thinking caps here and go with the cat burglar. So the left knee is going to bend first. You're going to slide out into that half plie, and then everyone pause once you're in that half plie. The carriage stays exactly where it is as you shift over to the right knee, bending the left leg straight. Yup, so sorry. Come all the way in and up. All the way home. So 3 movements. Out and down. You steal the jewels from the vault. You slide underneath the little alarm, and then you get into the getaway car. See where we want to be Davy Jones. Don't be Davy Jones. Shift. Oh, yes, better. And I'm going to brace you a little bit here. Out and down. Now as you shift, keep this all square. See how much more fun that is? Out and down. I'm going to do it again. And shift. And if that is the last one, that's okay. Inner thighs working hard. Pelvis has got to be happy. There is more band tension at your disposal if you want it. Rest for a sec here. Step all the way up. Any questions about this one?
This is part of the Buck Bones Reformer repertoire.
Yeah. Is that?
Now, I do have a question.
Yes.
So when we do this on the Reformer, it's just one style. This is Rebecca Rothstein's exercise. She has you press out, so you're bent on one side, straight on the other. And she actually has you swing like a monkey tail.
Oh, yeah.
Are you okay with that as a
yes.
pose? Okay.
Yes.
And the idea is it keeps you more neutral.
Well, and the carriage doesn't move at all when you're.
Well, and what it does is it gives you an opportunity to just roll that pelvis over your femurs, which is what does everyone need?
Exactly.
Hip mobility.
Okay.
You've got to be able to glide through that. Absolutely.
So hers is
Yeah, it's good for building hip bone.
Yeah, so this is a slightly different purpose. What my purpose is in keeping you upright, I'm going to steal
Right there.
yes, that nice supportive one, yes, because I have not had a warm up. Well, I do get to move a little bit, but so as we're here, I'm really working to make you mobilize your hips as you're shifting from one leg to another. So you can absolutely have them do like a little thing here, and that's totally fine, just a little variation thereof. The vanilla ice cream, I'm looking for that hip mobility here, so that's why I'm going to be really picky about everybody staying square in the rib cage and staying upright. Okay? Any other questions about that?
I found myself having to change my angle because my knee. I don't know if I was collapsing or what, but I felt sensitivity on the inside of my knee.
And that is a good thing to be aware of, because as you're transitioning, you have to think about how that thigh bone's turned down, and it's really the hip, knee, and the ankle, how those guys work together, whether or not that's going to torque your knee. And what people will often do when they plie is they'll have their feet turned down, then their knees will go forward. You know, so you have to be super picky, and yet everyone will just kind of go and just have them pointing straight ahead even to begin with. So you have to make sure it is the entire thigh bone that is turning your hip joint. Everything comes from the center. I don't care what your feet are doing. Don't move distally, move proximally. And you gotta move as close to the center, know what that is doing, and then the stuff that's distal is gonna kind of come along for the ride. So you gotta set up the center well, and then everything else comes along. Okay, everybody comfy with that? Side 2, electric boogaloo. Back to the heavy band. Hooray! Heavy-ish, supportive band.
Heavy parallel, right?
Yes, parallel legs, and then just add it in, regular split. Same rules apply as long as your shoulder girdle is nice and organized. I'm not going to be super picky about your arms. If you want to integrate the arms opening as the legs are opening, it's a great way to reinforce the thoracic abdominal breath here, letting the ribs expand sideways into the back. And then right back in. 2 more times here. And if this is as far as you go, fantastic. Last time here, open. And we're going a little bit of overtime with this side. Is everybody okay with time? Okay, just want to make sure. So now you're going to press out just whatever distance you need for your squat. Sit down into your squat with an inhale and stand right back up. Inhale as you sit. Wide sit bones. Pelvic floor has got to be pliable here. That musculature has got to be able to be nice and stretchy as well as supportive and strong. Now sit down and get comfy. We're going to be there for a bit. You are allowed to take a rest at any time. Otherwise, right leg out and right leg in. Same idea here, moving from the center so that outer butt is going to push your thigh bone away rather than your quad just pushing your knee to straight, rather than just thinking about pushing your foot out from underneath you. And as we slide to and fro, I should see absolutely no movement in the rest of your body. Last time, into your squat and pause. The weight is ideally still even across each foot. Press from the left. And resist as you come back in, out. And it's really the challenge here is that stable side, that leg that is being stable, it's on the mobile side, so it's got to kind of change its contraction to deal with that changing band tension. One more. And then pause once you're in your squat. Both thighs out, please. Both thighs in. And here too, straight is cool, but as long as you're pressing symmetrically from both sides, I do not care about straight. Out with both thighs, in with both thighs. 2 more for funsies, or give yourself a break if you need. Both thighs out, and both thighs in. Pause in your squat, lift up out of the legs, bring it all the way back in with control. Lighten your band if you want. Only a suggestion. Everybody's body is a little bit different. Everyone's separate and not in a bad way. So stepping on the stable side first, let's find that turnout, please. Regular split first. If you need to go with a couple of shortened ranges of motion to refresh your memory with what that light band feels like, great. I love a challenge, but I want you to walk out of here with a happy pelvis here. So if that starts to feel a little torquey, don't fight your way through it. Just give yourself more band tension. Bottom rib snuggle back just a bit there. Yes, proud posture. And in control. One more time here. And exhale, love this turnout without locking the knees. Good, so open just whatever distance you want for your plie. Maintaining the distance of the carriages at first. Straight down into your plie. Sit bones wide, pelvic floor is unstretched. A little bit of rotation, gather and flow right back up. As upright as you can be. Inhale as you widen. And exhale up. And here's the other nice thing too. If it feels more functional for your body to take a little bit of a lean, if you do that on purpose, I will accept it. I love when you just stay nice and upright here, but if it feels better to get that tilt, as long as you do it on purpose is great. Now come right back up and take a little pause. Both eyes are going to come right back in. We're gonna alternate that single leg. So just the right knee bends as the carriage glides out, half of a plie, and then come right back in and up. And then half of a plie with the left knee bending, right leg out. So you're gonna come right back up. You're gonna go out and down, and in and up, and then out and down, and then in and up. Bring it all the way home after each one. Click that carriage home. And this is the hard part with the inner thighs. Every inch, click. Yes, it sucks a little bit more. You can always take the feet a little wider if you need to get that done. And as we alternate, I love alternating the sides just because it is more work for your brain. And if everyone's having some trouble with coordination, just stay on the one side for a few times. Now, once you have evened yourselves out, everyone is going to have the right knee bent, the left leg straight, and we're going to pause there. Cat burglar, slide underneath the alarm. Get into the getaway car. Pull it all the way in and up. Out and down. Sneak into the vault, steal the jewels. Shift underneath the alarms. And in and up. Less rotation on that side. Out and down. And I'm going to brace you. Shift. Yes. Just a little extra ask from your hips. 3. Let these guys go. Yes. And shift. And up and in. 2 right here. And shift. Up and in. Last time, it's out and down. And shift. And in and out. Bring it all the way home. Step ever so gracefully all the way off. And you guys have survived. Beautiful work.